We should be recording now. So hello all, if you are seeing this in the future, time travel is apparently real and only available for YouTubers, podcast hosts, and Zoom live streamers. This is the April Mises Caucus Business Meeting. We are happy to be joined by Jennifer Flower from the Ohio State Party, talking about, so kind of what we talked about last time was how do you get affiliate set up. Actually, that wasn't last time, that was time before last time. I was talking about how do you get an affiliate set up for the first couple steps. And there's some really great information out there on this. There's a survey you fill out that sends you information packets, and it's been really successful since the rule change in Ohio. Do you know the number off the top of your head? I think it's 8 ones in progress, another 16 potential or something. It's something like that.
Well, it's actually double that.
Really?
Pretty close to double that. Yes, it's grown so fast I can't even keep track.
But we could actually have a majority of Ohio's 88 counties with affiliates in like
within the next 12 to 14 months. Yeah.
Okay, that is impressive, and we are happy to contribute to that because number of reasons. Mises Caucus, we get a bad rap sometimes. We are here to help the party grow. And then, of course, if we have the seats of power, we're going to abuse it and do terrible things like say that the vaccine passports are comparable to yellow stars. I am Jewish. I get to say this. Honestly, I think the LP Kentucky made a decent point. It's the best Nazi political comparison I've seen in a while. It's better than like the Assad ones. It's better than the calling Bernie supporters brown shirts. Like out of all of them, it's the best. Okay, now that we've gotten the controversy aside, don't worry, you can leave whenever you want to. Nothing I say should be held against you. I'm sorry. That's a really bad sense of humor. So Jennifer is here to denounce everything I say and help kind of set us like, okay, you've started your affiliate, you've filled out the paperwork, you have at least 3 members, you've had your first meeting, and now you have your 2nd to 5th meeting and just drink beer and talk about politics, or what do you do? I assume something happens next.
Yes. So I don't have any real specific talking points. This is going to be kind of more of a Q&A if you guys have questions, but the general idea is that you do always want to have something on schedule. So you guys are going to want to follow what you guys have set up with the Mises Caucus for the state of Ohio, as far as like doing a monthly newsletter and kind of scheduling out some events so that people know what's going on over the next few weeks and make it consistent. And you're going to want to separate your business meetings from your social meetings because there's a lot of people who will be really turned off by the idea of just jumping into a business meeting if they feel like they don't know what's going on. But you guys might have more success in, hey, come have a drink with us. Hey, come play top golf and we'll chat and that kind of thing. So
and then you can drag friends along and not tell them.
Yeah. You're more normie friends. I understand the top golf thing.
Yeah.
But that's the whole thing. You want to be very consistent and you want to have a few things going at any given time. What you don't want to do, and I'm sure you guys are already very conscious of this, but you don't want to put too much on any one specific person in your affiliate or in your caucus or whatever you're doing. You definitely want some of those things spread out. So the way Franklin County does it is that they actually have an events director. So that person will do some research on some places that might be fun to have socials at and schedule them out and, just make sure that there's always something going. Once you're really established and you have a larger group, I would definitely suggest at least a quarterly volunteering type activity outside of just collecting petition signatures. So
when you're saying volunteering, you're talking about specifically political, not like just a generic volunteering one, or
a little of both. So
I've heard of people that do that as a county party just to like kind of get publicity and get
exactly. Yes. So Fairfield County adopted a highway That's something that they did. When there was the last government shutdown, many counties got groups of people together to clean up state parks. So that's definitely something you can do. And, just knowing what your local festivals are. So once again, whether you're the caucus or you're speaking for your county, but if you know that there's like the Pride Festival coming up or whatever, definitely consider getting a table. And if it's, as the affiliate, there's always an option to ask the state party if they can, give you the money for the table itself if you guys don't have a whole lot of funds and fundraising going on. And, that may be possible just depending on what things are looking like with the state party as far as our finances.
And I guess that's another fast side tangent. I know the state party had talked about giving more money to the affiliates and kind of doing
Yes.
more. What if you had to say, what are the top 3 things that people would ask money for that you'd be likely to say yes, and top 3 things that people have talked about that make you just hurt inside? Like, what are the top 3 best, top 3 worst?
To be honest, I'm kind of happy that I haven't had any of those moments where I'm like, oh, really? You're gonna ask for that?
Okay, then guess, like, imagine them. Make them up.
Okay. So I would say things that are, if we have limited amounts of funds and we've got a couple of counties asking for money to do tabling or like the supplies to do tabling, like, hey, it's going to be really expensive to order banners and like all the permanent stuff that you're going to need. Those are things that I'm way more likely to be on board with than, hey, we want to have a pizza party. So, those, like, what's going to be in the long-term interest of your county, really, and your county's growth.
So
for
like
some of you who may
infrastructure
not,
style cost.
exactly. So for some of you who may not know, we actually have an affiliate. I don't know what the actual term of it is, but basically it's an affiliate referral type program where the more people in your county sign up as recurring donors to the state party, we give about 20% of those funds of membership fees back to that county.
And unfortunately, Mises Caucus does not have that. So,
as the county party, once you get some members, once you fundraising going and established, you actually have some access to some of those funds coming back to you, but also benefiting things like the governor's campaign and things like that that are going to be beneficial to you, obviously, in indirect ways, like ballot access and things like that.
So I guess one of the takeaways from that would be, if you're doing something to help the state level and you do it intelligently, it can also benefit you. Because I know that's the kind of thing where, like, use the governor's race for your own publicity. I know that kind of sometimes is a tension, because if you don't know, like, Mises Caucus has like our 3 big items, and they are local races, coalitions with kind of, especially whether they just pushing bills without actually being in office, and then the third one would be kind of growing the party. But they don't, if you look at those 3, it doesn't appear obvious why we do anything to help the state, but then it's kind of, sometimes helping the state helps you grow the local one.
Very true. And so actually the Mises Caucus, when it was getting started a couple of years ago, actually donated to my campaign for township trustee. So those are definitely things, to keep in mind that you guys can do both as an affiliate and as the caucus. For example, one thing that I used the Franklin County affiliate for when I was running is obviously to help knock doors, to help do all those things. So as the county chair, you're going to have to spend a lot of time being a cheerleader to any of your candidates that are in your county, to make sure that they have the, supplies that they need, and I mean, obviously resources are always tight, but if there are things that you can do, like show up to knock doors, walk in a parade with them, those types of things, those are some of the first things that should definitely be on your county's calendar, for sure.
Okay. if there was anything that a county would do pretty early on that you would consider a bad idea, what would that be? My guess would be trying to run for a large race without
Mhm.
any set up infrastructure. But I,
Yeah.
what else would you talk about? Kind of like what? Because I've had people reach out to me saying, "Hey, I want to run for city council. Where's libertarian trainings? What do I do? What are first steps?" And
Mhm.
kind of, can you talk a little bit more about, especially for a new county, they cannot support a big race. So what would you kind of shoot for? What would you avoid?
So you as the county always has the part have you have the ability to endorse or not endorse any race that you choose to endorse or not. So you're right. So for example, a brand new county, it may not be a good idea to run a big campaign like on the same level as like a Columbus City Council campaign. That's probably not feasible. You can still endorse that candidate. You can still speak positively on their behalf. You can still help schedule like little fundraisers and things like that to help them. But you're right. You don't want to dive too deep into the really big things that you're not going to be able to support. So the way I look at it is if you can get 10 people in the room for your first meeting, that's fantastic. But what are you doing to get them to come back a second and third time? So what are you going to do to build consistency? So I would say, like I say, just start out with having a newsletter, even if it's only, a couple paragraphs and it's not super in depth. But if people know that you have a newsletter, that you're doing things consistently, that you have events scheduled, then they're going to be more likely to show up to a meeting or show up to a social and just kind of, you know, be involved.
Yeah.
Gordon, did you have a question?
Yeah. So, and also, it's a small group. Don't, you can raise your hand if you want to. Otherwise, just kind of chime in when there's a lull.
Yeah, please feel free.
So I'm actually we actually just got affiliate status in Huron County
Yeah.
last month. So uh technically speaking, I'm the sitting chair right now. So
Very
that's
cool.
now one of the biggest issues that I find is like obviously there's three of us. We have
Mhm.
just enough to, meet the affiliate status. What is the I don't want to say best way, but what is the best way to like recruit people? Because it seems like you have a lot of people that are really loud with their opinions online. And then when it actually comes to like, hey, you want to come and meet with us and just kind of, discuss this stuff and kind of organize, they all just kind of quiet up and just disappear for a couple days. Like,
That's true.
right.
You're going to face that no matter how strong your affiliate is. Even Franklin County, there are times where it's like the 4 or 5 people in the room and that's it. So however many, because there's the 4 officers and then there's like a handful of others that are kind of like the directors that have other type of positions, but you're going to face that. What I would say is it does go back to the consistency. So at least a few times a year, some of the affiliates that have been more long established will send out postcards to, they'll just pick maybe 500 voters in their
Okay.
county and send out postcards kind of, almost at random to either independent voters or if you had people that are actually registered as libertarians, and just invite them to the next meeting, send out, like I say, the newsletters. But we can also help you with some phone banking and things like that. It doesn't have to just be your affiliate specifically,
Right.
but we have obviously our CRM that has probably more contacts than you might be able to see online. So we may be able to help by sending out a blast of text messages saying, hey, this is when our next meeting is, or something like that. So
we can do
Clarify
that.
what a CRM is really fast.
the CRM, that's our customer relationship manager, or really it's our contact relationship manager. And it was built by Ohio, so it's ours. Like the LP is not going to come in and like mess with our stuff. They actually helped us by purchasing a bunch of contacts that were in the process of getting uploaded from the 2020 presidential campaign. But we can do those types of things. And, it may be a situation where, Lauren, it might be you and me and like 4 or 5 other people, not necessarily in your county,
Right.
but we can, do text message blasts. We can do, like we say, the email blasts, the postcards, all of those types of things. I know every once in a while, and obviously it's not the most effective thing, but it is effective in reminding people that we exist, sending out a fundraising letter.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, for a letter, especially like the first couple times you send it out, you might be lucky to basically recover what your costs were for the fundraising letter, as far as like the mailing costs and printing costs and everything. But what you do is you do remind people that you're an actual organization and you actually have organization, that you're able to send out these letters, that you're able to have that kind of infrastructure. So when you're playing like the real long game, those types of things actually do matter.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was gonna say they had a CRM training last month. I believe Patrick recorded it, Lauren.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you want to reach out to Patrick.
Yeah, I'll see if I can get a recording of that.
We can either do another session, or if it's recorded and available. I think that because of contact information sensitivity, he might only be able to like email it out if you ask specifically for it. I don't think it's like on our YouTube or anywhere public. Like
understandable.
That's fair.
But yeah, so we have a lot of those types of things, and like as you get affiliated, especially if you are a brand new affiliate and you've gone through that process, now we can kind of give you access to the contacts that you have in your county, and then it's kind of yours to kind of keep in contact with them and like go through and maybe even if it's just like you and the other 2 people on the board, commit to making 5 or 6 phone calls every week to people that you may not know yet or have a chance to introduce yourself to. Just any little thing to kind of widen your sphere.
And I think the thing that I'd add to that, sorry, Lauren, we gotta get off.
No, you're good.
So, especially everything else that you do, make sure to trickle it all back to some kind of soft way of keeping in contact with people slowly. So every time you have a tabling event and people sign up, get their email addresses, get their phone numbers, and so on, and keep a running list going. Google Drive's the easiest. Just set up one for your county. It eventually Google shut us down, but till then we'll use it. But
Working on that.
Yeah, I need to keep back stuff up. But the thing is with that, you're going to have probably about 5% of the people that are on your list be active at all. But the people that you're softly touching again and again, you will be surprised at how someone will show up a year from now and say, "Oh, I've been getting your emails for a month or for a year, and now I was busy with an old job. Now I have a new job," and all of a sudden they show up and you're best volunteer for a while. So kind of just keeping that soft touch going, you will long-term help from that a lot.
My goal is to I'd like to see us get a decent amount of members, and I know I think for the primaries in 2020, I think we had 12 people that pulled libertarian ballots, and if I can get at least half of them to be active, I mean I know at least 3 of them, and if I could get 2 or 3 more members by the end of the year, that would add us to 6, and if we can fill our spots and have people, that'd be awesome. Because I don't know, it's just hard to find people.
It is. And so one thing that the state party is doing that you guys as the county affiliates may not necessarily see is that we've had statewide organizations come into our XCOM meetings and talk to us, and we've gone to their meetings, like for example, like the Rank the Vote Ohio or Accountability Now Ohio. Yes. So we're trying to also help build those coalitions kind of in a soft way, like Drake was describing, like, hey, okay, so you're not a political party, but I think our ideas align a lot and we could probably vote together on a lot of things. And so kind of playing those types of kind of, relationship building type of games to make those connections.
Another organization I was just kind of curious about, I don't know if you can tell us this, but like Young Americans for Liberty, I know they've been kind of getting shaken up a little bit, but they're fixing their issues slowly. But I don't know if LPO has actually, like reached out to them and tried to, actually set something up. I know they try not to be really partisan because they just support liberty candidates.
The LPOs worked with the Young Americans for Liberty a fair bit, but it's it is very much on an individual basis. Like, I know the Cincinnati one has been fairly strong libertarian for a while. I ran it for a while, and I know that they've been consistently, like, they bring in LP Ohio speakers for their meetings. But I know, like, the OSU y'all chapter, at least back in 2015, they were Young Republicans light.
Yeah.
So
the reason I ask, I'm close to Ashland, so like Ashland University, from what I was told, has a pretty strong chapter there.
Yeah, no, reach out to them for sure. There's a good chance that they will want to have you guys the speaker, or you can do an event together, like they'll co-host something with you. Otherwise, you might just get a couple of their graduates joining your county party. I mean, also they are adults; they can be part of your county party, and they can even
I look at it as networking.
Yeah, the only thing is that they can don't put too many eggs in their baskets, because oftentimes in 2 years they vanish forever and you never see them again, which is
true.
Okay.
But the thing
People
is,
work.
if we can get them and we can influence them before the other parties do, or like kind of re-influence them after some of the crazy classes they're required to take, then we're doing so much for the long-term growth. Yes, so the college campuses, that's fantastic. Like the Y'all Cincinnati chapter was technically the co-host for the Spike Cohen bus tour in Cincinnati. And then we worked real close with the the Case Western Libertarians for the Cleveland debate night thing before all the debates got all messed up. But we talked with them, and they were independent of y'all, but they were very aware of y'all and also wanted to actually be the college libertarians for Case Western. So it's one of those things where we can very much make those influential contacts for them and let them know, no, if you guys want support on your campus, we can come, we can talk, we can, all of those things that'll provide support. And hey, just register to vote. Let's do a voter registration drive on campus. Like, let's have these conversations. You're going to grow your party a lot if you just do those types of things, even if the members are only 2 or 3 years at a time.
Yeah. So someone else wanted to chime in. I'm sorry. I think I was just hoping, because I talk a lot, I was hoping Jennifer would be the calm, cool, collected one. We just keep jumping on top of each other. So someone else was trying to ask a question. I think we just both shouted you down. Who was that? If hearing none, I have other comments to say.
Yeah, I didn't say anything.
If anyone else had something else, just feel free to, and if put your hand up if I'm not stopping. I sometimes don't notice. So one other thing would be the advantage that you have as a county party that you have versus the state or versus the Mises Caucus is you are local to an area. People like showing up to things in person. So that is, if you're trying to build just your strong kind of central core, really don't just say you're going to have an event on a day. Actually make an event page and Eventbrite. They're free, or Facebook event, probably Eventbrite though, because Facebook's a royal pain because they don't share their events anymore. And actually blast that out, have people invite friends, have it look like a little official where you think this is a real thing I'm going to, that people can bring people to.
Yes.
And that'll kind of keep pushing it forward. And a friend bringing a friend in, they are oftentimes the best volunteers, even if they're not always the longest lasting. We're kind of, and then sometimes it is just a thing of, if you share that stuff enough softly, someone will hear from a friend, and the person that hears from a friend will actually have been a 10-year libertarian that never like got involved in anything. And they will just be like, oh, I've been involved in decriminalizing weed forever, but never joined the party. Because there was no county party here. And you can, that kind of thing can happen and will happen.
It will. Yes.
Sorry. So, let's see, where were we? Oh, yeah, totally derailed. Yeah, I have no idea where we were. So let's see, we're talking about what the state would and wouldn't do funding for, talking about the size of elections to run for. So you said what not to run for. What elections would you say is a really good first election to just learn how the process works as a new county affiliate? Like, you want to win elections. You will never win elections until someone like has experience actually running elections.
It's true.
So election 1, you have 3 people. They want to try it out and figure out how to do the paperwork. What's your first election? What's the first office you run for?
Township trustee.
Okay. Why? What do you do? What
Your
colors?
accountant, the township fiscal officer.
Okay.
Just
So
decline all the payments.
Right.
and can you? I don't actually know anything about
I
township.
mean, like, oh no, don't forget it, bro.
Oh,
We're gonna
darn.
write off this tax. Don't worry. Nah, don't worry. You don't need no permits. I got you, bro. It'll
So
be
you-
signed there.
So you just get on a Facebook page and like just every day post all of their financial records publicly because of accountability and transparency.
And opencheckbook.org and all of those things.
Okay. So they can actually like, so you probably can't control the legislation, but you can definitely open
No,
a
you
lot
can,
of
you
crack.
can control. Here's what you do control if you are a township trustee. You control the zoning board.
Really?
Oh,
Wait, how?
so you
How
can just vote
control?
yes on everything.
Like big control? or small
Boom.
control? Like-
So the zoning board is a group of volunteers that can say, oh, yeah, go ahead and build your shed, whatever. But they get appointed by the trustees.
So you could, if you came in, but is
Pass
it
the
unilateral appointments?
Backyard chickens for everybody.
No, is it
Heck yeah.
literally?
Oh yeah.
Is it literally unilateral appointments?
I mean, the 2 of the 3 trustees have to agree on an
Okay, you need
appointment.
2
Yeah,
out of 3. Okay.
but
So what you're saying is take 2 trustee positions, replace
Yeah.
the whole board with libertarians.
yeah,
Okay.
this is what you do.
I'm
You
Yes.
get a
Understood.
back porch. You get a back porch. Everyone gets a back porch.
I love
the
backyard
fiscal
chickens.
If your township, like my township has our own independent fire department. So our fiscal officer is in charge of payroll for the fire department. So guess what happens if there's like a union dispute or something like that with our fire department? The fiscal officer is the one responsible to deal with that. So, obviously they still have to get paid, and we'd all, like to have houses that are not on fire.
That's fair.
So departments are generally a good idea.
Mine
But
catch on
as a
fire.
fiscal
I'll be
officer,
fine.
you can kind of cut down some of these shenanigans, and you can say, well, do we need to hire a new person instead of having all this tons of overtime? Like you can influence things in those types of ways. You really can. And yes, by making things way more transparent, by actually posting all of the transactions online.
Yeah, because I
Oh my
guess
goodness.
even if you don't know all the answers, if you post it publicly enough, someone who does
Info.
will answer
Yep.
for you.
Exactly. And they'll start asking questions, and
Okay.
then people who follow them will ask questions, and then conversations are had.
Actually, I remember that's how Massey got his start. Was I think it was that exact issues that he was just in the like a township position and
Yeah.
just published everything publicly
That's awesome.
and then kept growing in support until he became a congressman.
Yep.
Awesome.
Now, I would say a township race, in a small township, you're going to need to fundraise about $2,000.
What small?
So my township is very large comparatively, and it has 11 precincts, so about 1,900
What?
residents. But the bordering township next to ours has 4 precincts and about 2,900 registered voters.
That's like the size of my town.
Once they said
Exactly.
1,900 people in your township.
19,000.
19,000. Okay, I was gonna say 19,000.
Yeah, so we could technically incorporate and support an entire town. We just haven't because half of us are rural, honestly.
Yeah.
It's a really weird township. But a small township, you guys could legitimately find a township that has 3 or 4 precincts in it, and maybe only 2 people running for the 2 open positions, and your person's the 3rd person that jumps in, and you could really, really shake things up.
So you get your county together, you get your first people. A lot of these new counties are starting in rural areas. You find the one person in your county where they're in a smaller township. Maybe the person that used to be in the position is resigning or something. Like, you find the person with the most winnable race, and then the whole county focuses on that one for your practice run. Win it, grow from there. Okay.
Another one would be Board of Education.
I thought that the boards of education people really couldn't do anything and just were like a pass through from the state. That's what I had heard a bit about.
Yes and no.
Okay.
With COVID, the boards of education for each district were the ones who decided who went back to school, if it was like fully back, if it was like partially, like hybrid.
That's the difference between the double mask and the zero mask, is the Board of Education. Okay.
And like what the policies are, and then like stupid things that, you know, they're not huge policy things, but like the school dress code.
Yeah.
The school boards actually do, at least in most districts, actually do help decide what teachers might get tenure. If there's a tenure situation in that district, or which teachers might get a raise, or which teachers get hired, or, you know, those types of things. So once again,
days, snow days.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I don't know about that. I think they set the policy of the number of snow days that can be had, but the principal's the one that actually calls the snow day, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. But you can set a policy that allows for 100 snow days.
Yeah.
Okay.
If enough people were on board with it, I theoretically.
Okay. So you need a majority of the board. So they do. So the trustee will be a much more influential position. The board is kind of a big deal right now, but may not be one normally. But it's a relatively winnable, nonpartisan race.
Exactly. Okay. And I bring up Board of Education because, let's say you have a parent that's very libertarian leaning in your county, and they've thought about running before, and they're already on the PTO, and they're a leader in the PTO, and like they've got a lot of respect for the other parents. That's when you put someone up for Board of Education, because that person already has the support of tons of parents, which that's its own network. That if you break into that, that's huge. And if, you know, they can help set those policies, and they can help rein in the teachers union for that district.
Yeah. And then it's kind of it builds up your track record of winning.
Yes.
Okay. So we covered that. We covered general growth. There's a lot there, so someone will probably have to rewind the tape and watch the video once or twice over at half speed. But just kind of really focus on having consistent events, have them on the calendar, and have people invite friends, always collect contact information, and keep slowly following up, because most of them are going to be duds, but some of them can lead somewhere.
Yes.
You talked a little bit about fundraising. I'll try to see if I can get the. So you said funding is sometimes available from the state. Generally, it will be more available for things that are multiple use, kind of like just a better investment generally, like permanent banners versus
all of those types of things.
Okay. Versus something like a pizza party is not going to happen.
Right.
Beyond that, you said that you would sometimes be in favor of like a mail fundraising campaign, or would that almost be more about the collecting information than the fundraising? Like, you talk more about fundraising campaigns?
So typically what you want to do is you want to do some kind of a fundraising activity each quarter approximately. So it could be a county membership drive, it could be sending out fundraising letters. But like I say, the letters themselves are probably only going to raise just enough to pay back what you spent on mailing. Which that's not necessarily a bad thing. There are still people out there who would prefer a paper mailer than an email mailer. And there's still people out there who do donate. Like every time Michael sends out a Franklin County mailer, that's just one of those paper mailers with the envelope and everything. Every time he gets some checks that come in, like from people that he's like haven't heard from in like 5 years. And that's the way it goes. But it is those consistent touches. Like there was a book I read. I think the book that I'm thinking of is called I'll send you guys the link. I think it's like it's a strategy book about how to win elections, but the whole point is it's talking about you have to have at least 7 touches on each individual voter to change their mind on something.
Stone's Rules is also pretty good for politics.
That and the one that I'm
the book again.
Or what's it called? I think it's Stone's Rules. It's by Robert Stone.
Okay.
I don't agree with him on really a lot of things. He's more of like a, yep, there you go. Yeah, basically it's like a bunch of different rules he has on like politics, and you first start reading it and you're like, wow, this is kind of dumb, and then as you're reading it, you're thinking about politics and you're like, oh wow, this guy's like he's a genius. Like if he wanted to go and win an election, I guarantee that dude could go and win like a congressional election if he wanted to. Like he is that good with politics.
Okay.
On the local level, there's literally a book win a local election. I highly suggest each county get at least 1 or 2 copies because it's how to win a local election.
Okay.
And it basically walks you step by step on how to run a local campaign for something as small as a township trustee or a really small village council or something like that.
Okay. Let's see. What other big questions? Okay, so two other big questions that I can think of. Then they're both the really hard ones. Actually, 3. So first hard one. How do you avoid burnout?
By not taking on too many titles on not giving any one particular person too many titles.
But they say they can handle all of them.
Nope.
How many titles can one person handle?
Temporary thing, then obviously fine, and you know your own limits. But here's the thing: when you get too many titles and you get too many responsibilities, 1 or 2 are going to fall through the cracks while you're working on the most important one. It happens. Yeah. Or you're going to spend so much time where you're just like, man, I work, I do county things, and that's all I do. I have no free time, I have no downtime. Or I'm constantly making decisions because that's what I'm doing, and I just want a break from making decisions. Yeah. So just make sure that when you have a new volunteer that comes in that's super excited, wants to help, and wants some responsibility, give them some small chunks of things that they could work on. But don't make them your next chair or something like that. Yeah. Give them some time to get acclimated, give them some expectations, let them get creative, let them make that position their own, even if it's something as small as like being your county's volunteer coordinator. We'll make sure that they have like specific things that they can do as far as just getting started, like adding to the newsletter or coming up with a volunteer or kind of get together type thing each month or each quarter or whatever. But make sure that person is not also doing 3 other responsibilities.
Yeah. So I'll throw in 2 things with that as well. One, even if you can handle all the responsibilities that you have, every month or 2, something is going to go wrong in your life. A pet's going to die, a parent's going to be sick, whatever. And what you have to remember is It doesn't matter what you can handle now. It matters what you can handle if your free time gets cut in half tomorrow. So it's kind of like, remember that don't be well under your limit. You want to do 30% of what your max and do that 30% really well, but don't commit to more than that. And the other thing that I would say is your volunteers are your most important asset, and they are more important than any event. If there is an event that is difficult enough to be burning out your volunteers, and it is like, maybe if it was like the rally before a presidential debate, it'd be different or something, but you're at the county level. There is no event that's more important than your volunteers. If something is becoming extra work and burning out your volunteers, drop it, quit, do it badly, whatever. Your volunteers matter more than the events.
Yes.
Um,
there's a long-standing joke, but it's actually also reality, that basically the lifespan of an LP volunteer is less than 2 years.
The Ohio party was worse than that for a little bit.
Because as soon as somebody gets involved and they're excited and they're competent and they can do something, then they also get the 5 things that come with it. And we really want to avoid that. Like we want the rapid growth that we're seeing, but we also realize that each new affiliate, like there are just 3 of you. You don't have to be doing everything Franklin County is doing on month 1. You don't have to be doing what Toledo's doing on month 1. You just don't. You have to grow at your own pace.
Yeah.
And you don't have to even do half the things that they want to do just because you're a different county.
Or
some of that makes sense to you.
You don't have to do half the things your members tell you want to do. If they say they want to do some extra big thing, you can just say no. Like,
yep.
First, email, like monthly email list. Second, events, like at least every 2 months. Everything else is optional.
Yep.
It's good, but you don't have to do it. So other question, succession planning. Eventually, there will need to be a new chair. How do you get a new chair? Where do they come from? Do they just drop out of the sky?
No, they should not drop out of the sky.
It's happened to me, and it's been a lifesaver. When you have like 3 potential chairs that you put in treasurer in a row that all just vanish on you, and then one drops out of nowhere, and he's like, "Yeah, I attended the Mises seminar last summer, and I'm just joining right now because I'm really interested." Like, thank God. Where
but that is not normal.
that happened to me, and it was a lifesaver because I just had 3 people.
Other reason you do not want to burn people out, is because then you're not going to have a succession plan.
Yes.
And part of the reason that things were so painful in the last ballot access petition drive is because a lot of volunteers that knew what was going on and had all the institutional knowledge said, "I'm done and I'm not going to help."
Yeah, everyone in the scratch.
People who are just done. But respect the people who have been there before and like still use them for advice, but make sure you do have a solid succession plan, which means having everything written down. So you've got your bylaws, you've got your policies and procedures, all that good stuff. And you as the board should definitely have a couple of volunteers that you encourage to come to the meetings, just for the sake of if something does happen, they're up to speed.
And I want to throw in with that. So don't just have it written down. And I'm saying to everyone that has a county affiliate, you need a shared online folder, preferably Google Drive, that has a non-personal access. You need an access account this is the whatever Sonoma County LP at gmail.com. And that email is how you access this drive that has all your documents in it. Because every single time there is a new president or new chair there, and there are physical documents or things like this, they're gone. Anything that's physical, it's gone, it's dead forever. Anything that's on one person's hard drive, it's gone, it's dead forever. People just vanish on you and never contact you again out of nowhere. If you have a shared drive with like 3 people having access to it, maybe every year or 2 you change the password, just like security protocol, that works so much better. It fixes all of your problems. It's probably searchable. If you have a new volunteer, you can just put them in charge of organizing it for a task, see how well they do things. But it lasts forever. You keep anything important you keep there. You keep your email list there. You keep your list of other groups that you affiliate and work with in your county. Like if there's a journalist that's written stories in favor of you before, you write that there, because otherwise it's gone. Like I've literally had journalists that want to write articles about us that no one has the contact information for anymore because that one guy left.
Yep.
And
so
shared drive.
For the state level stuff, I will plug, yes, please have it shared. Please, I mean, Google, that's great. That's what a lot of the counties are using currently until we have something else.
But you other stuff too.
Especially you have large county organizations that have been super supportive and journalists that have been super supportive. Definitely shoot XCOM an email, because that's something like I try to drop into as many of the formation meetings for the counties as possible, just to say thank you, thanks for forming. Great, this is awesome. Introduce myself, let them know how to find me, if there's any issues. So at least I can be on their radar. We want the same thing for those county organizations and journalists, so that yes, the next time we have next time we have a congressional campaign, hey, you guys were talking to Lauren in Huron County, and I'm with the state party for the Libertarians. So here's our candidate that we'd like you to talk to. They're going to be more likely to do that when they know that we've all talked, we've got this organization going, and when we do keep that regular contact with them.
Yeah. And then the other thing I will say, so this is a bit of a callback to earlier, but I have the drives. Trust me, it makes everything better. So if you have someone that's trying to bow out of the organization, they are burnt out. They even leave you in the middle of a really important event. Take it well. Be nice to them. They've done a lot of work for you. They do not owe you anything. Even if they promised you something, they don't owe you that promise. Doesn't matter. Be nice. Take it well. Let them go. Maybe still ask them for advice, but don't push them to do anything. And there's a good chance they'll come back to you. Or even if not, you can still reach out to them for help. If someone messes up an event and no-shows something important, and you have a screaming match with them, they're gone forever, and everyone that they talk to, they will push away. If you have a pleasant separation, they may never come back, but you know what? They're libertarian. They talk about politics and everything. We know it's true. So everyone they talk about with politics, they would then push towards you, and they could bring you your next great volunteer. So like the other part of succession is not just bring people in. When people leave, let them leave gracefully, let them leave well. What brings us to one of the hardest topics for any affiliate. I have a toxic volunteer. They drive people away. They go to door knocking and they start screaming at people. What do I do?
Okay. So you have to be very honest and very direct, but it definitely
Hey guy, you suck.
But you do have to handle it with tact. Like, maybe if you're not entirely sure how this person's going to act or react, partner them up with someone you trust or yourself when you go door knocking the first couple of times. And that's my advice to everybody, especially with door knocking or tabling at an event. But then once you see that behavior, you have to hit it head on. You can't skirt around the issue. So maybe when you're still out and about and you're door knocking with them, tell them, hey, you know what, let me take the lead. I'm trying to improve my public speaking, that kind of thing in that moment. And then later on, come back to them and say, okay, look, so this is kind of what I observed. I felt like maybe that wasn't the most effective type of situation. Can you tell me kind of what you were thinking? And try to have that conversation in a way that maybe you can get them to think a little differently. Like maybe they're just a very loud and somewhat abrasive personality just in general, and they don't realize that. So if you can talk to them, then maybe you can sway them. But if after you give them a couple of chances and kind of see that they're not changing, they're still really upsetting people, they're still offending people, then you have to be really honest and say, look, I'm really sorry. We love your support. We really appreciate you, but I don't think that door knocking is the best activity for you. Here's something that we would like for you to help with, and then redirect them. So once again, with our text banking, we actually have ways that only certain volunteers can actually respond on their own. So if it's someone who might get a little off the rails, so to speak, then maybe redirect them to the next text banking type of thing, or invite them to like a different type of event, like a park cleanup or something like that, and let them know that they're still appreciated and that there's still many things that they can do, but don't turn them loose one-on-one with a voter, at least until you see that they've made the changes and the voters not uncomfortable.
And I'm going to echo some of that and then actually be a bit harsher. So there are definitely like everyone at the Ohio LP, and also I and other people in Mises Caucus that you can reach out to, we have dealt with difficult, toxic volunteers.
Yes.
And there are specific activities where almost anyone can do good. Just like
Yes.
text banking is something where it's hard to mess it up, but you literally need a person there clicking the button.
Mhm.
And that's something that we can put someone on and then they can do pretty well. What I will say is there is a certain level of toxicness, especially if someone is there to pick fights with other volunteers and start drama. Or let's say you joined the Libertarian Party as a volunteer to find a girlfriend, and you keep really following around. Like there are things like this that you say no to you can say no to volunteers at any time. You can say, I'm sorry, find a different organization, leave.
Mhm.
Like obviously it shouldn't be your first choice. Don't do it just because someone has a different opinion on you on some libertarian minutia, like exactly how speed limits be handled in anarcho-capitalistan. There's not the reason to do this. But especially if the really big one to do it. So if someone messes up a bit with voters, that's okay. If someone messes up a bit with like other stuff, but if someone is literally driving away other volunteers, you need to stop it now. If someone has driven away a single other volunteer, heads up, if they're toxic, they're a worse volunteer than they are. You are losing volunteers on net by having this person.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
Stop it. Stop it now.
And then, there are things like our volunteers' personal safety is the biggest priority. It should go without, we should let it go without saying, like we should be in that kind of a society, but we are not. If you notice that a male volunteer is getting super creepy with a female volunteer, or you notice anything weird like that, or a female volunteer is hinting at that or something like that, shut that down immediately. There are no second chances on that. Yeah. And I would hope that there's a female in your county's affiliate that you could have as a kind of neutral party that might be willing to sit in that conversation, or another trusted male or something like that. But if it comes down to it, I will more than happily call in or Zoom in or whatever and help have that conversation, because safety and security is the most important thing for our volunteers.
Yeah.
We can't pay people. We ask them to do all kinds of crazy stuff, to volunteer and put in all kinds of time and effort. And the absolute least we can do is make sure that we're actually trying to take care of our people and keep them safe.
Yeah. Learn from what y'all went through recently. It is a serious issue and it will blow up in your face. If you're unsure about if you see something that looks weird, a really easy first step is asking someone else for their opinion on it, and be like, just get a sec. If you're like, was that weird or not? Ask the person involved, ask another person who's observing it, just getting a couple eyes on it. Or even let's say you're the chair and you're really busy and something seemed kind of weird. Pick someone in your group who's not that busy, like the secretary, and be like, hey, next meeting, can you watch them and be like, just see what's going on.
Serve, yep.
Yeah, so it's just, so reach out for that for help, and then reach out to us and other people for help. Thank goodness it is not a very common problem, but it does happen, especially at things like socials with alcohol involved. Lots of stupid, I've seen lots of stupid stuff happen with alcohol, and I think that was all.
Don't feel like this is just because you're a group of guys on this call, or just because, you know, this happens in every type of volunteer organization.
People suck. Like, that's the easiest way to put it. Is people just suck.
Well, like, also we're like in a group of weaponized autism, so it's yeah,
essentially, yeah.
Once you get into the people that are like, if someone is messed up socially enough to want to really dive into politics, there's a slightly higher than average chance that something will go wrong,
especially if it's a libertarian angle.
Yeah, and a decent chance of the time it's not even on purpose. If you just talk to someone, and it could be like, oh, I didn't realize I was creepy, and it works out. Like, that's what most of it is. But
sorry.
I think I hit all the major questions I had. Anything else that we want to hear from the crowd? Any other stuff you want to ask Jennifer or myself about your county affiliates? How to get to step 3 profit? How to
we have a party meeting on the 16th if you guys are interested.
Where is it?
It'll be in Norwalk, Ohio, Northern Huron County.
How far is that from Columbus?
Yeah.
Actually, I just realized I'm driving up to see my husband's family that day, so I cannot make it.
Would you be able to post a link and like do like a Google Meet or something for it?
Some groups are doing like hybrid, like, hey, we're gonna be in person, but there will also be a laptop running in the corner with Zoom or Google.
Yeah, that's what a lot of the formation meetings have been, just so that either Helen or I can kind of pop in and just answer questions.
It's a really big convenience for the state party people because they don't want to have to drive 2 hours every day.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, like perfect example. There's like 3 formation meetings this week. There.
Sorry, Lauren. We'll let you speak. I'm gonna mute myself.
Yep. It'll actually be at like a restaurant we're having. It's gonna be a social one. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Same place as last time?
No, we're actually gonna be doing it at Casa Fiesta. It's a Mexican
right down the
restaurant. They're really good food there. So yeah.
Anything else? Other questions, other statements, concerns from other people?
Jennifer, where can I get my hands on some petitions for ballot access?
Yes. Okay. So,
that's a work in progress.
I can get PDF copies and make them available.
Don't they need the specialty paper? The like law.
The only specialty about it is that it has to be legal sized.
Yeah.
So
done.
You take it to like your Kinko's or whatever for a few cents a copy. That's probably your best bet. We're also working on getting bulk printing when we're like really ready to like start everything. So here's the caveat.
Legal size is 8.5 by 14, not regular size.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
So here's the caveat. And this is something that one of the reasons that we're trying to hit as many of the county meetings as we can. We don't want to discourage you guys. We're really thankful that so many new affiliates are spinning up and you guys are so active and everything. Redistricting is not going to be done until at least September.
Are you serious?
Yes. Yeah. So what does that mean for ballot access? Well, I'm in Congressional District 13 right now. I could be in 14, in September. If I sign the petition now, is my signature valid or is it not valid?
But they're gonna fuck us.
Which is why we currently have that in front of a judge. That question is going in front of a judge so that we have a legal answer, so that we then, if they say yes, no matter what, you sign it today as your congressional district is today, and they have to honor that after it's redistrict. Once we have some more security in that answer, then we are going to go full speed.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
that's something to be aware of. I know there's some
Yeah.
people out there that have already been circulating the petitions, which is great. We don't want to discourage that, but just know that we might run into that problem where they might attempt to invalidate a ton of them.
So
Also-
how does that work with like candidates? Because isn't the deadline for signatures for us like,
Yeah.
because I'm in 57 right now, but I might not be in 57, so I wouldn't be running for 57th.
So the Republicans, Democrats are going to get a pass, and
Yeah.
we are going to get fucked sideways.
Classic.
And
Nice.
Now, what we're planning on doing for the governor's race is we're planning on running an independent.
Mhm.
So it may
Makes
not be
sense.
a truly libertarian type of campaign, but we will have our endorsed candidate, and we will encourage volunteers to then kind of support that, help that, whatever. That's not going to help our ballot access. It's not going to secure our ballot access, because they're going to then say, oh, you got your 3%, but that was an independent candidate. It doesn't
Okay.
matter that you endorse them.
yeah, no, so there's going to be a lot of nonsense there. Most likely our ballot access is going to come in December of 2023, because if we submit it then, it's good for 2 election cycles. But on the other thing with that is a lot of local races are nonpartisan. You can run for them anyways. You can run as independents. There are some workarounds. But if someone does want to do petition stuff, we support it. And as everything gets all in a line, the Georgia ruling and everything is done, we'll probably have at least a video sent out of just training about ballot petitioning.
Yeah,
There is some neat stuff like if you get people to print their name instead of sign their name, they can't legally throw it out and stuff like this. That's like really weird and funky, but if you learn how to do it, you can do a better job of it.
Yes.
But so I can't tell you too much more about petitioning. Anything else? Other questions, comments, concerns? 42. It's the answer to your question in advance.
Yes.
Okay, it seems like we're about good. Let's see. A couple of things. So one thing I will say, if you're a new county and you just watched all this, this was a lot. We talk really fast. Go back through and watch it and take notes. I don't say that I hate my sound of my voice. You should hate it too, because but really there's a lot here. It will be helpful if you reference it more than once. I don't know, like Jennifer, how much experience do you have with this? I don't know how long you've been.
I've been like super active since 2017.
Yeah. So, I originally started with like a y'all chapter in 2014, and I grew it from 1.5 members to maybe 25, 30. And it's now continued since I left. And now I'm the vice chair of Franklin County. We are not the best people in the world, but we are a damn good place to start. So watch, we said a lot of stuff. Besides that, reach out to us. You will all have my contact information, or just contact if you're watching this on YouTube, the Mises Ohio gmail.org, whatever the channel is called is the email address. Contact that for anything that you need. Yeah, try to watch it again. So other fast thing that we'll go into on the video still. Maybe we might take this off the recording. Is there anything official at the state level happening yet about the vaccine passports? Because that is something that I really want to oppose and fight all I can, and we are already
so I will ask. We don't currently have a resolution or anything.
Yeah.
We're very much opposed to it. Like,
Yeah.
there is no wishy-washiness in the Ohio party as far as the XCOM is concerned.
It bothers me so much. I was in a Mises Caucus Facebook page, and they took one tweet from the Ohio LP Twitter, and they're like, this tweet's really dumb. Why aren't they talking about important stuff? And it's
Look,
I
the
go to their-
Ohio LP Twitter is fucking based, okay?
it's-
like I know who runs it. I'm in a group chat with that Twitter account, dude. Like
I was trying to find the tweet they're referencing. I couldn't make it through all like 10 pages of anti-vaccine passport.
Really good tweets.
Yeah, so
Oh,
don't hate on that.
Kentucky.
So anytime you have some really good memes or
Yeah.
some good clapbacks, send it all to Jimmy and
Yeah.
he will.
Yeah.
We'll take care of it. But yeah, so Ohio is on our side for this. Mises Caucus is on your side for this. The Franklin County Party is on your side for this. We are all really fucking against this. I wrote an
Now-
op-ed. Feel free to use it.
Let's
We just need to figure out
let's-
what we're actually gonna do next because I want to do something and fucking
let's see
stop.
if we can get the legislator in Ohio, even though they're not libertarians, see if we could get them to actually pass a law, kind of like how
They
Florida
were-
has done.
The Republicans wrote one. Like
Oh, they did.
They
I know
did. They-
DeWine's not going to vote on it.
Yeah.
He's a
Divine
fucking joke.
or Divine will try to veto it. Like
Yeah,
he,
and they'll override his veto. It'll
yeah,
be
Why-
hilarious.
DeWine's terrific.
he twice vetoed anything that limited his powers.
Yeah.
And then he got overridden anyway. So
Yeah, I know. DeWine's
I hope they-
terrific, but we can.
I hope they figure out that they can do that at any time they want, not just when they, get yelled at enough to finally overdo the lockdown crap.
Yeah, but
my representative is very disappointing right now because I've tried to call him 5 times now and haven't gotten any kind of, even from a secretary, because he is not a co-sponsor of Ohio House Bill 62, which would make us a sanctuary state. And he was very, very vocally against gun control when our county conveniently during election season had our county meeting. And now that, he can actually,
Of course.
right, he can actually co-sponsor a bill that would remove the state's ability to put resources into enforcing this stuff. And
Yeah.
he's just like, nowhere.
yeah, no.
Yeah, Dick
They are
Stein, I'm
crashing
talking
our-
about you, bro.
They're trash and horrible, but we can hopefully push them. I'm probably gonna send out, and I haven't been sending out really any like propaganda stuff on our newsletter, just because it's like you guys already know what you believe if you sign up for Mises Caucus newsletter. But
I'll start
probably send out
making stuff
something-
for you. I'll start sending you stuff to put on there.
I'll probably send it out just for this.
Oh, dude, you're gonna get memes.
I don't want to spam people on our email list. But I guess that all of you start county parties, run the email list so you can send them memes. That's what people
There you
want on
go.
their email list. Just piles of memes, nothing else.
I'm working
God
on
damn it, Lauren
getting,
sent me 2 today.
I'm working on getting Summit County going. So
Yeah. But
Hmm,
Excellent.
okay.
I think that's about it. Oppose the vaccine passport. Oppose it really hard. It is everyone should hate it for every reason. And I think that's it.
For historical sake.
Anything else you want to say, Jennifer? I know that you run a couple different things with the state, so you are occasionally running trainings. You're pretty big at pushing the text program. Is there
Yeah.
something that you'd like to plug? Is there, if someone hearing this call has free volunteer hours and they could give them to you, what would you want them to
Yeah.
go towards?
So for right now, I would say please work on your county affiliate. So if you are just really stuck, like if you're not creative and you're stuck and you're like, I have no idea like what kind of events to try to schedule or anything like that, feel free to get a hold of me and I can give you some pointers. But right now, just your county affiliates, that's what's happening. What would be really awesome, we are always looking for not just memes, but like some short articles, like 200 to 400 words, maybe like letter to the editor style articles about legislation that's coming out or legislation that's currently in the legislature, so we can have more real-time reactions to it. Because if you notice, we do have a lot of that for some of the big national issues because memes are so easy to kind of like
Recycle.
send forth, but we don't have anyone on the Ohio level, like state legislature wise, like following these laws, making memes for Ohio specific legislation.
Do you
Right.
need someone to do that?
We are calling all
Yeah.
shit posters.
Okay,
We
listen.
need you.
So So I'm hang on
Yes.
live follower count. We're at I went up 3 followers, so I'm up 5,404 followers. If I tweet something out asking them to make a meme, I'll have one in like 10 minutes.
Perfect. Then
Yeah,
So that's what we
dude.
need. We need
What
we
is-
need content that can go on the lpo.org
Oh my god.
page, as well as our Facebook, and things like that. So
and
it
honestly,
can
and,
be
and writing something is actually pretty neat. It's good practice, helps get your ideas in order, and you'd be surprised at where libertarians are not a big sphere. As soon as I told people I wanted to write stuff, I was getting published on websites that I did not think would ever publish me, like pretty fast. I know people that quickly even get on like Lou Rockwell or Mises.org within like 20 articles if they write well.
Mhm.
You just
That's
like
pretty
you just
cool.
write good stuff. We don't care about IP. Just keep sending it to everyone, and if they think it's quality, they'll republish it.
absolutely. Yep. And just keep it relevant. Obviously keep it something so that it can actually get published. Like, okay, be very firm in what your opinion is on the matter, but there's no need for like cursing and vulgarity and all that stuff. Like,
No
I know
shippers.
that's completely different, but like, just know what your audience is supposed to be.
Yeah.
Look, if someone's offended by the wood chipper meme, do we really want them?
So that your plugs was
Yeah.
are you okay with me sending out your email address in the
Absolutely.
okay. Do you want to say it right now for anyone watching YouTube doesn't see this, just your Ohio LP
Yep.
one?
Jennifer.flower@lpo.org.
Actually, you could, I think I have it somewhere.
Yep. And yes, so some of the trainings that we always have ready to go are things like how to write a campaign workbook, like how to write your campaign plan. So if you're a brand new affiliate and you've never worked on a campaign and nobody in your affiliates worked on a campaign before, and you don't know where to start, that's something that I can send you. As we approach next election cycle, where we're actually going to have like state house races and Senate races and all that stuff going on, we're going to do some in-person, not just trainings, but also like candidate roundtables and some debates. We're gonna help. We've got some really nice banners and things like that with all of our branding. So we'll be able to open up the office with some of our video equipment that we have to help produce some videos for candidates' websites and Facebooks and things like that. So we're growing a lot of our resources, but you kind of have to let us know what you want, and then we can let you know, oh hey, yeah, we do have that, or no we don't, but we're working on it, or whatever, so that we can figure out exactly what you guys need.
Yeah. Okay, then I think that's good. This has been the April meeting of the LP Ohio Mises Caucus. Peace.